This is Dr. Geneva, and welcome to another episode of Ignite to Impact. On this episode, we talk with WendyY Bailey, master business coach and income acceleration mentor, as she talks with us about business beyond limits and her 7 powerful practices for creating a highly profitable business, and shares her personal experiences with depression.
Welcome to Ignite to Impact, a weekly podcast about next generation leadership and what it takes to make a difference at work, with family, and in your community. Get ready to be inspired as we pull back the curtain and dive into intimate and energetic conversations with achievers and doers who are in the trenches navigating workplace politics and influencing change. Get ready to hear how leaders fail and get back up, learning how to keep it together while traveling in their leadership journey. Our mission: to help you with leadership tips and strategies that you can use to get fast results and help make your business, community, and world a better place. Now, here's your host, Master Leadership Strategist, Dr. Geneva Williams. So, let's ignite to impact.
Hey there, this is Dr. Geneva, and I just can't tell you enough how so delighted I am to be with you once again as we sit back and listen and learn from inspirational folk, leaders, business folk, coaches, human resources professionals, leaders in communities and in boardrooms and right around the corner in your neighborhood. It's just such a great time. It's a great place to be when we can learn and be inspired. And I've got something special coming to you right now. I want you to meet WendyY. Now, WendyY. Yes, WendyY Bailey, who has been coaching entrepreneurial leaders for 16 years. So you know we're going to learn a lot. She is a best-selling author and sought-after mentor coach because of her ability to coach and train individuals and organizations to create extraordinary results. Yes, she is affectionately called WendyY, and she's made a global impact in coaching as an innovative CEO. She says, "I'm a beast, helping you double, triple, quadruple your income." That means you go from making average money to creating money, so you have a real freedom in your life. So now you know we want to talk to her. Welcome, WendyY.
Thank you so much, Dr. Geneva. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Well, we're delighted to have you. So, I want to jump right in. So I need to find out first, why WendyY?
I love it. It's a question I'm asked all the time, and I love sharing the story. I've been in my business, like you said in my introduction, for more than 16 years now. And when I had a website, but when I came into the social media space a little more than 10 years ago, I looked on LinkedIn and there were 25 Wendy Baileys on LinkedIn alone.
Okay.
And I went, okay, I've got to distinguish myself. And at that point, I had done a lot of local networking in Atlanta, and every time I stood up to introduce myself, I always emphasized the Y as the middle initial. Uh-huh. And there were a couple of groups where people began to know me as WendyY, so I brought it into social media so that people would begin to really call me that. And I've been really surprised because today, as in 2017 when I went back and I looked, because I tell the story about LinkedIn, there are now 250 Wendy Bailey profiles on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So you Google Wendy Bailey, you get the musician, you get the attorney, you get the psychologist. But WendyY Bailey, when you Google me with the extra Y, you get me all day long for at least 5 or 6 pages.
And that was smart.
Yeah.
So you
it's a branding thing.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a branding thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you were smart, particularly, as evidenced by the increase in Wendy Bailey's.
Exactly.
Well, we've got WendyY right here with us in studio, so I am just so delighted. So tell us, WendyY, what were you like as a child? Tell us about your childhood.
I was very much like I am today, a little bit precocious.
Okay.
Really engaging. I was the neighborhood baby, if you will. I would ride my bicycle up and down the street, and if a neighbor was outside, I would go and stand and talk with them in their yard. And of course, if they invited me in for cookies, I was there on the spot. And so I was kind of the neighborhood baby, and people knew me and liked me because I was very social. I was very social. My mom used to say all the time, you can't just go with everybody. You can't just do everything. You can't, we live in a neighborhood, and it was a time where it was safe to do those kind of things.
Yes.
But it didn't matter to me because I was going to be that baby. I was going to be that person. And of course, I've grown up to be that same kind of precocious with a different kind of way of being with people, if you will. Like, I'm very outgoing still, but I've learned over the past few years that I'm also an empath, which means I take in and I absorb other people's energy. So I've learned how not to be precocious and engaging with everyone in the same way, because I have to safeguard my energy. You know what I mean? I can be brought to tears easily. I can be broken down, feeling like something tragic has happened to me very easily. So I have to just kind of safeguard that. I don't watch the news. I'm very selective about the shows I watch on TV. I love TV, but I have to really manage that in a way that it doesn't zap my energy or detract from who I am and what I'm doing.
So how did you get into the career that you're now in?
Wow. It's always such a fun story to share. I was a corporate manager. I worked for what is now AT&T. I worked for BellSouth.net. And I managed a group of technical project managers and a small call center for them. And I was voted off the island in 2001. And understand that it was a blessing and a curse. A curse at the time because I had not prepared for it. A blessing because of where it brought me. You know what I mean? Because I knew that I didn't want to go back into that kind of position again. So I intentionally said, what am I going to be when I grow up? Now's an opportunity for me to really determine that and discover that. So what am I going to do? And right around the same time, Oprah was still doing her daily talk show. She had Cheryl Richardson as a guest. And Cheryl Richardson is a very renowned coach. She's one of the first coaches I ever knew existed in terms of a coach, a very well-known coach. She's written several New York Times best-selling books. You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
And they talked about coaching, and I knew that I had mentored people that were, part of my organization, even if they worked for me or not. I had done things that looked like coaching, but this was an opportunity for me to really understand what it was. So I started feasting on coaching, what coaching was, how it worked, how you got trained, and I just haven't looked back. I haven't looked back. It took me about a year to really get a foothold on what I was doing as a coach, to get some training under my belt, and to actually launch my business. So that's kind of how I got here, and I got to tell you, I'm at home. I tell people today that I'm officially unemployable, and they say, what does that mean? And it means that I'm not going to be someone that's hired and just go with the program. I'm not a conformist anymore. I'm no longer that person who just walks the walk despite it being wrong, despite it not being the best walk to walk. So I'm unemployable, because people want, corporations, I'll say it that way, corporations want people in their organization who they can sort of mold a little bit. Yeah, they want you to have your own mind until it interferes or bumps up against something that they're trying to accomplish. It doesn't match. So I tell people I'm officially unemployable. And the other story I like to share is when I think of where I am now, there's nowhere else I can go. Like, there's nowhere else I can go. Do you remember The Officer and a Gentleman, the movie?
Yes.
There's a scene toward the end of the movie where the drill sergeant has taken this one recruit, and he's really trying to break him from the officer candidate program. He's really trying to break him. He's had him running all day in the rain. He's had him doing push-ups and holding his rifle, doing push-ups with his rifle, running in place over his arm. And he's like demanding him to give up, to give the signal, the word to give up. And tearfully, the recruit says, I can't give up. I've got nowhere else to go. That's kind of how I feel about where I am now in my business. 16 years in, Dr. Geneva, there is nowhere else I can go. I'm here, and I'm here to thrive and do well. I've done it a few times. I'm on the path to do it again. So, yeah. That's a long story, but yeah, I'm here to stay. No, but it gets right
to the point. And so let me ask you, so you're here, so you must have learned a whole lot. So I want to hear about that. But first, let's talk about, so what is it that you're here doing? What is your business?
Awesome. Well, my business has evolved and I've rebranded a couple of times. Okay. And I was out of my business due to illness for about 18 months, 2014, 2015. And when I came back to my business, I said, you know what? The business as I did it before is something I need to lay to rest. And I need to sort of give birth to something different. Okay. And so I rebranded and I relaunched my business as Business Beyond Limits. And what I do is we're a coaching, training, speaking, and consulting company. Not an agency, but a company. That means that we're serving CEOs of small businesses and entrepreneurial leaders and what I call transformation experts, like coaches and speakers and trainers and other consultants, and what I call emerging thought leaders. Emerging thought leaders are folks who have a powerful voice in the marketplace, but they have yet to determine how to monetize it. So a lot of what I do, I'm going to say what I do is I coach and train them on creating massive marketplace influence. So they're highly visible, they're getting seen, they're getting known, they're getting heard. And then I teach them sales, strategy, activation, and scripting. So once they attract the clients, they need to know how to convert them into paying clients through their products, through their services, or through enrollments in their programs. So a lot of what I do is that.
Would it be fair to say you're in the sales and marketing business?
I'm in the sales and marketing, training, and coaching business, yes.
Sales and marketing, train. Now, you made that distinction. Tell me what, tell me why.
I remember I said when I was talking just a second ago that I'm not an agency, we're not an agency. Yes. Agencies do for you. Like, I'm not actually going and getting sales for people, but I'm teaching folks how to sell. Right. I'm sharing scripting and strategy and activation techniques about how to sell and about how to market and become
how
more.
To convert.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so it's the how-to. So you're a how-to expert.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So that's what you're doing now. Is it successful? You
Very much so.
And what have you learned?
Very much so. I've learned so many things. I don't know if I can tell them to you in the time we have.
Okay, so tell us the top two.
The top one is something related to what I do as well. Okay. And that is my personal mantra: mindset is everything. Okay. Mindset is everything. Okay. Like, if you don't have the right mindset, being a marketplace influencer is more difficult. It's more challenging. If you don't have the right mindset, selling is going to be more challenging. If you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to be able to create the conversion. You're not going to be able to close sales the way that you can when you have the right mindset. Mindset is everything. Mindset is everything, Dr. Geneva. If people would get that, I think businesses would be so much more successful. Mindset is everything. Mindset is everything.
So then let's break down that everything. What do you mean when you say mindset?
At the foundation for everything is the way you think about yourself and your value and what you bring to the marketplace and its value. So you've got to think in a way that supports you to be able to get out there and be seen. You've got to think that you have value in how you present it to the marketplace and that you present whatever it is to the marketplace. So if you don't believe in it, if you don't believe in yourself, it's just going to be harder for you to sell it. It's going to be harder for you to be seen and get known and heard in the marketplace. You've got to believe in your own value and what you're bringing to the marketplace. So mindset is everything. Everything really is about how you see your value. So when you know your value, you can sell anything. You can sell ice to Eskimos. You can sell, fish to the fishermen. You can sell anything when you have the right mindset and you understand the value.
So it seems to me, WendyY, that what you're saying has a lot to do with self-confidence.
Mm-hmm. It does. It does. But it's deeper than that, Dr. Geneva.
Okay.
And let me give you a little bit of my backstory so you understand why I believe the way that I do.
Okay.
In my 20s, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. Mm-hmm. And what most people don't know is it is a brain disorder. It's a chemical imbalance. It is clinical depression. All of those labels apply, but it's the phrase, the label that the mental health community gives when they don't know that whatever is going on with you that has caused you to be depressed isn't from a tragedy, a trauma, substance abuse, or all of those other types of issues. They know that you're not able to function because something is happening in your body, and the way they treat it is with a chemical cocktail. The same chemical cocktail does not work for everyone, so it's a trial and error to get to the right medication. And when I was diagnosed in my 20s, since then I've been on a number of different cocktail combinations. They worked for periods of time and then they stopped. So you think chemically, that means as you're growing and your brain is changing, the chemical makeup is changing. It's what's in the foods that you're digesting. It's all of that kind of stuff. And when I say that I was out of my business for 15, 18 months due to illness, at that point, I actually had been going to a new doctor. I changed my psychiatrist, and she put me on a combination, a cocktail that seemed to be working for a while. But then I started bouncing up and down. I was kind of like this. She would change the meds. I would go down, I would come back up, and then I would go down and I would come back up. So it wasn't consistent. And in the midst of that, like I said, I didn't know I was bouncing at the time, but in the midst of that, I had a full hysterectomy. And that was at the end of 2014. And if you have ever been through that, it's like hormonal hell, even before you factor in this whole chemical imbalance thing. So if you can imagine, I felt like I was about to fall off of a cliff. Okay. So then we tried other new and different meds. So I had horrendous side effects. I had mouth sores. I had facial tics. So we were always changing the meds. And then finally I had the mental wherewithal to change doctors. And when I did, the doctor that I changed to put me on an old generation med. Like, I didn't see commercials for what I was taking on TV anymore, right? But she put me on an old generation med, and all of a sudden, and since then I've been soaring, like high functioning, doing anything and everything. So let me get back to the point. When I say mindset is everything, during that time I was still WendyY. I was still fierce, and I was still strong, and I was still amazing. But I didn't believe it. I didn't feel it. I couldn't even touch what I thought I was in that moment, because it was like this big cloud was just put on my shoulders, over my head, on my shoulders. And all of a sudden, I couldn't connect to who I really was. But during that time, I kept saying, but I'm WendyY. I'm fierce. I'm amazing. I'm, but I couldn't get to her. Once the meds kicked in at the right level, all of a sudden I was like, oh, I know her. We riding and dying together. I know her. Yes, I can do things. I can say things. I can be things in places and spaces that I didn't feel like I could before. So when I talk about mindset is everything, when you have your mental faculties, that's the first part of it. But then when you have a belief and you are really profound in your belief about who you are and what you do in the marketplace, you can do anything. So mindset really is everything, because mindset gives you the wherewithal to do anything. Anything.
So how are you now? How are you feeling?
Awesome.
How you... So you still soaring?
I'm still soaring.
Going to that next level.
I published my first book in July of 2017 as an international bestseller.
Yes, and the name of that book is
Business Beyond Limits.
Yes, Business Beyond Limits.
7 powerful principles, powerful practices for creating
a highly profitable business.
Yes, there you are, Dr. Geneva. I got to sign it, but that is your copy of my book.
Yes, please sign. Oh, it's just phenomenal. phenomenal. Yeah, because I wanted so if you're just joining us, hey, I got an insightful conversation going on with WendyY Bailey. And she's an international thought leader, sales speaker, and world-class business coach. And we've been talking about several things, but the last bit of conversation was really some deep insight into why mindset, more than just self-confidence, is powerful belief in yourself and what you can do. We were just talking about the importance of it, and she's just shared with me my own personal copy of Business Beyond Limits, and I'm going to get it signed. And these are 7 powerful practices for creating a highly profitable business. So I'm wondering, WendyY, would you share with us one of the powerful practices?
Absolutely. First of all, let me say mindset is everything is one of those powerful practices.
Okay.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes.
And then I follow that up with another one that's called the I charge for that. I charge for that is one of those powerful practices as well. And I charge for that actually says not only do I believe that what I'm offering has value, I charge for that says I'm also going to assign a value to it. I'm also going to assign a value to it. And when I have that, I charge for that mindset. I know and believe in that value, and I can actually assign a fee to the value that I've assigned to the whatever it is, the program, the product, or the service. Make sense?
Yeah. So that means that's something you should be saying all the time.
Mentally,
I charge for that.
Yeah. It almost is too harsh to say I charge for that. But the origin, let me tell you the origin of those 4 words. Years ago, I was working with a partner, and he and I would sort of put our brains together and decide how we were going to set fees for things. And inevitably, if I wanted more, he wanted less. If I wanted less, if he wanted more, I wanted less. So we were rarely in sync exactly on what the fee was we were going to set for things. And I love that he would say to me, well, if we're going to do something, we need to charge for it. So when people ask me something, WendyY, I tell them I charge for that. Well, the words were harsh, but they stuck with me. And I started to support my clients and my coaching around that. Because typically, as business owners, we think we're going to get into the entrepreneurial space or in our business and it's going to be all wonderful and we're going to build our website and people will come, or we're going to produce this program and people will just show up and they'll be enrolling by the numbers, and it doesn't work that way. So we really do have to understand the science behind setting a fee, understanding the value, and then assigning a fee for that value. We miss that because we want to help everybody. We charge too low. We charge, way too high based on the value of it and what our clients can pay. So I charge for that is really about understanding all of the mechanics and all of those nuances of assigning your fees, of charging and delivering your services. I charge for that says I get it, and I'm always conscious of it. So that means I'm always in a happy place with what I'm charging. I'm also able to serve my clients and challenge them to investing more in what they do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very heavy. So so you coach a lot of folk, you've been around, you've been in this business for 16 years. What are some of the top strategies? Okay, you've given us a couple, so that's cool. And and everything that you think about, what are some of the top strategies for sustainability?
Wow, that's a really, really great question. The one thing I think that's important is you've got to have systems and processes in place if you really want to scale your business. And when I talk about scale, every time I say it, I can tell by certain people's faces, I didn't see it on yours, but they don't really understand what I mean by scale. Scaling your business means that, you might be one person working in your business right now, but in scaling your business, it means you're able to serve more. It means if you were to go on, somebody's talk show or radio show like this one, and all of a sudden your client base doubled, would you be ready for it? Scaling says you would be ready for it because you've put in the systems and processes and places that will be able to support that growth and that demand of your programs, products, and services. So putting in those systems has to be a big part of it. When you are doing something in your business, you need to be able to duplicate whatever that process is. Prime example, you do this podcast. When you're doing your podcast, there are certain things that every single time you do a podcast that happen. Every single time, right? So that is a system, that is a process that needs to be documented in order for you to scale. So being in business 16 years means that I get the processes and I've documented the processes and I have systems in place that support that. I'm not running around trying to send an email to anybody and everybody that decides they want to join my list. I have a system for that. I'm not running around doing all of my own follow-ups and everything. I have a system and a process for that. 16 years has taught me to have those more and more and more, and to record them so that it's repeatable and delegatable. I know that's not really a word, but you can delegate it to someone, and that's how you can grow your business.
That's some very good tips. Because I think that sustainability, how do you sustain what you do, is very important. And I agree. I just think sustainability and scale are just so closely connected. They're really different sides of the same coin. So you got a lot going on, WendyY. You've shared with us, your business, how you're growing it. You've got systems and processes in place. You rebranded. You had some challenges medically. How do you balance it all? I get questions all the time from my listeners and from others about the challenge of balancing life. People call it work life or balancing school or balancing all these different pieces. I just look at it as life balance.
Sure.
But what's your view on work-life balance and keeping it all together?
Well, it's a great question. Personally, I think balance is a myth. Balance is a myth. I think that when you are in a business, and I've been in my business more than 16 years, you understand that balance is a myth, and what that means is you have to create a business around your lifestyle, not the other way around. You have to create the lifestyle you want, and then your business is part of that lifestyle. And here's what I mean. I had a client just the other day who said to me, there are things I want to do in my business, but I'm doing so many other things that I can't. He said, I am doing a men's ministry at my church. I'm doing my regular job. I'm spending time with my grandkids. I see what other people are doing in the marketplace, and I don't find myself really being able to do that. And I said, well, why would you? You need to do what works for you. And at the time, he was already working on doing some social media visibility stuff. And I said, well, you're already doing that. Let's focus on maximizing that because it's working for you, and let's make it work even more for you. So that's kind of what I mean. When you talk about balance, you've got to do what works for you. If you've got 3 things going on in your life, then your business is number 4, right? If you've got other things happening, you need to do it in a way that works for you, not looking at what somebody else is doing, not looking at the marketplace and saying, oh, because they're doing that and it looks like it's working for them, I want to try it. You've got to do something that works for you. So when I hear balance, I go, okay, that means my self-care comes first. That means me spending time with my son and his girlfriend. He's 28, so rarely do they have time for their moms at that age, so I cherish every minute of that. That means spending time with my 87-year-old mom, and then I can figure out what business is. One of the things that helps me, and I see we're getting low on time, but one of the things that helps me and serves me well when it comes to balance, I limit myself, and that's not the right choice of words. I give myself 3 things that I want to accomplish every single day. Just 3, not 10, not 25, 3. And those are very intentional. They're very focused on, income producing. Okay. 3. And I do those 3 things. And once I do those 3 things, then I'm good for the day. And sometimes the 3 things come in the middle of the day, after I've hung out with my son, or after I have, gone and got my nails done, or after I've spent some time doing something with my mom. I have 3 things that move around based on what is important to me. My family is important to me, so that becomes first, and then everything else is after that. That's balance for me. That's balance. And so
what I'm really hearing is that the balance is a lot to do, seems to have, from your perspective, a lot to do with knowing, understanding what's important. Absolutely.
It's priorities.
Yeah.
It's priorities. Like my mom has called me some days and she'll say, are you busy today? And I'll say, tell me what you need, And it may be, come and take me to the grocery store. It may be, can you run a couple of errands for me? Well, I look at my calendar and I move things around because my mom needs me. That's the priority for me. It's not, oh, Mom, I can't do it because I've got these calls. If I have hard and fast calls, sometimes I'll say, I can't do it in this window, but it's okay if I do it here. Still a priority. I'm still managing my own calendar. I'm still growing my business. I'm still, closing sales and serving clients. So it really is about priority and how you manage that priority for yourself.
Earlier we had a conversation about a post that you did. Tell us about it.
Well, in the wake of the recent celebrity suicides of Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, depression was at the heart of that, right? And I saw people posting a lot about Kate Spade and how she left a 13-year-old daughter, and how could she have left her, and how selfish she was, and what she must have been going through. So I went on to Facebook, and in my post I said, let me make sure you guys really understand what depression is and how it impacts how you think. Earlier, when I talked about being in this really cloudy space and not being clear, depression will tell you that you're in pain and you're relieving the pain. It doesn't say to you, you're taking your life. You're going to end things here. It says you're going to end the pain. So that's the first thing I said in the post. The second thing is depression will tell you that your family is better off without you. Depression will tell you that. You don't. In that cloud, that's what you're believing. My family is better off without me. The depression will tell you that. The depression will tell you that nobody cares about you. The depression will tell you all of these things. And in the post, I said, the depression is a liar. And you need to understand that depression is a liar so that you can come out of it. And then I shared some things that I thought would really be empowering, like feed your mind in that space. Stop watching things on TV that can bring you down. Feed your mind, feed your spirit with things that are about hope and empowerment. Hang around people. Reach out to somebody and say, I really need you to support me. Read the Bible, pray, whatever it is that connects you to hope in your own life. You've got to be connected or reconnect to hope when you're in that space of feeling like I'm in pain and I want to end it all. Again, you're not thinking I want to end it all. You're thinking this pain. Exactly. The pain has to go away. And this is the only option I have. Only option. So my post was really about, let me tell you what's really going on in the mind of a suicidal person, and then give you some strategies that will help you beyond whatever that is, if you're ever faced with that.
That was some deep stuff. And I've, needless to say, the conversations about suicide have increased. Not that it hasn't been going on and it isn't going on around us on a day-to-day basis, but whenever it's an individual or a celebrity in the public eye, you see it and you hear it often. But that's one of the most in-your-face, clear kind of insight that I've heard. And it also reminds me of, I know you're a great, sales and marketing guru, thought leader, business coach. But I think you also have a gift because of your own experience in helping people understand those sides of depression, mental illness, emotional imbalance that I think affects us all.
Yeah, it does in some form
or another.
In some form, it absolutely does. The thing that I love about what you said, thank you for saying that. Up until 2016, I had never shared that I suffered with depression. Never. I always found an excuse. I always, if I was under the weather and it was really me having a bout with depression, my sinuses are acting up. Or, I'm just a little tired because I've been running. Or, there was always a reason, but it was never the truth. When I came back to the marketplace at the end of 2015, I felt really led to disclose it. Really, really led. And I was petrified the first time I started talking about it. And one of the people that I heard a speaker for one of the organizations I'm part of, the Women's Speakers Association. And they used to have guests that came on and talked about things. And the way they promoted her appearance was, she had this deep, dark secret and she kept it secret. And once she decided she was going to share it, all of a sudden it opened up her world, and now it turned her business into a speaking empire. And I was like, well, I want to hear what she has to say. And what she shared was that at the age of 20-something, she had contracted herpes and did not disclose it to anyone in anything. And then one day she was at a speaking engagement and decided to disclose it in her speaking. And my question to her was, as part of that program, was, when did you know it was time to share? Like, what was it that gave you the courage? She said, when my desire to heal was greater than my fear, I knew that I could share it. And can I just tell you, that still gives me goosebumps and turns me on my head, because I'm like, the healing began once I started talking about it. And the healing for others began once I started talking about the depression. And talking about it is part of who I am. And my goal, my job, my calling, if you will, is to make sure others understand they don't have to hide in secret. They don't have to be alone in suffering. They don't have to deal with whatever comes as a result of it, because it is part of who they are. It's a beautiful part. It's a challenging part, but it's also really, really amazing to have the work that you do around depression as part of who you are. Yeah.
And that's part of who you are, WendyY. And that's why I think you sharing your story makes a difference. It really does. So keep posting.
Thank you.
And keep talking about it. I mean, I know you got to talk also about the sales and the marketing and the training and all that sort of good stuff, and your 7 powerful practices for creating a highly profitable business. But oftentimes I think those two subjects, frankly, go hand in hand. And I'll tell you why. Because I do feel that being successful, profitable, however you define that, has a lot to do with who you are and your understanding of who you are and your ability to heal and be all that you can be.
I totally agree.
So I don't think those two subject areas are disjointed. I think there are ways that, in fact, they can connect, and you can build that into part of what you do, because, frankly, I'm so much more intrigued by your business acumen and your ability to do sales and marketing, because I think you've been in a traumatic pit. I think you've been there and you've worked yourself out, and that takes strength, courage, belief, vision, confidence, and all those things that you need to have to be successful in business.
Absolutely.
So I don't see
right
them
on target.
disconnected.
Yeah, I don't either, Dr. Geneva. The thing that I knew coming back to the marketplace when I rebranded and everything was that when I talk about mindset, when I talk about sales and marketing, mindset had to be a big piece of it. So I share my stories. I talk about some of the things that are not even depression related, that are funny, that are tragic in business as well. But the overcoming and living and thriving with depression has prepared me to have those kind of conversations too. So, you know, my clients who let me just say they love me because I'm sort of the girlfriend and I'm also the, you know, tough love kind of coach. They say we benefit so much from your 16 years and the stories you share. And every time I share a story, it's not self-serving. It really is about making a difference for them.
I see it.
Yeah.
Well, WendyY, I love the fact that you've spent this time with us. And yeah, I understand about how you use that why to distinguish yourself. But after hearing and listening to you, hey, your life experience distinguishes you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your desire to make a difference. Thank you so much, WendyY Bailey, international thought leader, sales speaker, and world-class business coach, for being with us. And we'll have you back.
Thank you so much, Dr. Geneva. I would love that. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Ignite to Impact with your host, Dr. Geneva Williams, an award-winning executive, facilitator, and master leadership strategist. Dr. Geneva is passionate about inspiring others to get their own leadership on and empowering the next generation with leadership tools and tips to help make the world a better place. Sign up to download Dr. Geneva's audiobook on leadership. Get the show notes, links, and other resources at drgenevaspeaks.com. That's drgenevaspeaks.com. Thanks for listening. Please share this podcast to those in your community via Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Google+, and leave us a 5-star review in iTunes. When you do that, it helps others find the show better. Send your questions or comments to info@drgenevaspeaks.com and use the hashtag Ignite2Impact.